If someone is injured on site, where should this be recorded? In an accident book or record, on the Safe System of Work plan, on the site plan, in the method of work.
When should an excavation be battered back or stepped? If it is more than 5 meters deep. If there is a risk of the sides falling in regardless of depth. If any buried surfaces cross the excavation. If there is water in the bottom of the trench.
What is the correct way to reach the working platform of a mobile access tower? Climb up the ladder built into the tower. Climb up the tower frame on the outside of the tower. Climb up the outside of the diagonal bracing. Lean a ladder against the tower and climb up that.
Using a grinder whilst wearing this personal protective equipment, PPE, could result in which of the following? Lung disease, Weil's disease, eye injuries, hearing damage.
Why should construction materials be recycled? To prevent excessive hazardous waste. To avoid waste going to landfill. To save the company money. Because skips are expensive. Workers are likely to suffer the highest levels of fatigue due to what? Appropriately designed shift work schedules and reduced production targets. Poorly designed shift work schedules and reduced production targets. Poorly designed shift work schedules and long working hours. Appropriately designed shift work schedules and short working hours. What are the 2 conditions for being able to operate plant on site? You must hold a British passport. You must hold a full UK driving licence. You must be trained and competent. You must be authorised. You must be over 21 years old. A worker spills a large quantity of petrol on their clothes when refuelling a piece of equipment. What should they do? Wipe it off with a cloth. Change their clothes immediately. Nothing. It will evaporate quickly. Put some other clothes on top. Why are battery-powered tools preferred over 110-volt tools in a construction environment? They are quieter. They are cheaper to run. They are safer. They are more powerful.
The seal between an item of respiratory protective equipment, RPE, and a worker's face is most likely to be affected by which 2 of the following? The wearer's age, dust levels, beard growth, sunlight, wearing safety goggles.
What should you wear if there is a risk of materials flying into your eyes? Laser safety glasses, tinted welding goggles, chemical-rated goggles, Impact-rated goggles.
Loss of appetite, fatigue and tearfulness are common symptoms of What? Hand-arm vibration syndrome, skin problems such as dermatitis, mental health issues or stress, repetitive strain injury and back pain. If you hear a ringing sound in your ears after working with noisy equipment, what does this mean? The noise level was high but acceptable. Your hearing has been temporarily damaged. Your hearing protection was working properly. You have also been subjected to vibration. What is the best way for a worker to avoid becoming stressed because of an overload of work? Make sure they take medication before going to work. Put up with the extra work, but make sure overtime is paid. Speak openly and regularly with their manager or employer about workloads. Only do what is manageable because someone else will pick up the extra. What does the word hazard mean? The construction site accident rate, a type of removable barrier or machine guard. Anything that could cause harm. The likelihood of something happening. What must you do when using water to keep dust down when cutting? Ensure that there is as much water as possible. Pour water onto the surface before you start cutting. Make sure that the water flow is correctly adjusted. Get someone to stand next to you and pour water from a bottle.
A crane has to do a difficult lift. The signaller asks you to help, but you are not trained in plant signals. What should you do? Politely refuse and explain you don't know how to signal. Ask the signaller to show you what signals to use. Only help if the signaller really can't manage alone. Start giving signals to the crane driver.
When do you need to check tools and equipment for damage? Once a week. Each time before use. At least once a year. Every day.
When referring to protection, what is a high UV rate cream designed to protect you from? Legionella, sunburn, dermatitis, abrasions. Why is it bad practice to store heavy materials underneath a tree? Compaction of the soil could damage the tree roots. Materials are not protected from the tree sap. The tree branches could get damaged. Mold could grow on the stored materials.
Who should provide you with any personal protective equipment, PPE, you need, including the means to maintain it? No one has a duty to provide it. You must buy your own. Anyone on site with a budget? Your employer?
When must an entry be made in the accident book? when a worker has been off sick for 3 days, when a compensation claim is completed, only if the accident involved broken bones, when an accident causes injury to any worker.
Under which one of the following circumstances is it safe for a worker to remove a protective cover from a deep service hole on site? The worker has placed a safety cone by the hole so people will avoid the area. The worker is authorized to do so and is protected from falling whilst the cover is not in place. The worker is wearing a safety helmet and waits until everyone else has left the site. The worker is wearing high-vis and has told a few people on site that the cover will be removed.
During excavation work, some interesting old coins are found in the loosened soil. What is the most appropriate action? Hide them. Archaeologists working on site will delay the works. Keep excavating and see how many more there are to find. Keep quiet. The person who found them should keep them. Stop excavating the site and contact the supervisor. Respiratory protective equipment RPE fit tests should be carried out by whom? A supervisor in compliance with the law. The worker who will carry out the work. A competent person in compliance with the law. The manager overseeing the work.
Which two of the following should be provided when working on a fragile roof? Thick rubber gloves. A crash mat. Safe access to the working area. A safe working platform. A safety harness. Which of the following could ignite flammable vapors? Select 2 answers. Naked flame. Oxygen. Carbon dioxide. Sparks. Water.
Which animal is the most likely carrier of Weil's disease, leptospirosis, on construction sites? Rats, cats, rabbits, squirrels.
Which of the following activities does not create harmful silica dust? Chasing out walls and mortar joints or sweeping up rubble. Sawing timber or plywood. Cutting curbs, stone, paving slabs, bricks and blocks. Breaking up concrete floors and screeds.
When must an accident be recorded? Only when a person breaks a major bone or is concussed. Only when a person is injured and will be off work for 3 days or more. Only when an accident causes damage to plant or equipment. Only when an accident causes injury to a worker as a result of working activities.
If you cut your finger and it won't stop bleeding, what should you do? Tell your colleagues because you may need to rest. Wrap something around it and carry on working. Find a first aider or get medical help. Wash it, then carry on working.
What is the main hazard associated with the movement of plant and machinery around site? Drivers getting motion sickness from the movement of the machine. Pedestrians walking too close to moving machinery and being crushed. Members of the public being poisoned by the exhaust fumes. Existing building collapse from vibrations of the moving machinery. If you are required to lift a heavy load, what must your employer do? Complete a risk assessment of the task. Watch you while you lift the load. Nothing. Lifting loads is a part of your job. Make sure that a supervisor is there to advise you while you lift.
Work in a confined space usually needs a risk assessment, a method statement, and what other safety document? An up-to-date staff handbook, a permit to enter, a written contract for the work, a company health and safety policy.
Which of the following statements about gas leaking from a liquefied petroleum gas, LPG cylinder, is true? It's not a problem if a risk assessment has been carried out beforehand. Any leak will always cause a fire and evacuation should be immediate. It can catch fire at some distance from the original leak and flash back to the source. It is only dangerous if there is a heat source very close to the cylinder.
What sort of rest area should your employer provide on site? A covered area, chairs, and a way to boil water and heat food. A canteen serving food, drinks, and cold sandwiches. A covered area with some comfortable chairs and running water. Employers don't have to provide rest areas, as long as rest breaks are provided. What should you do if you notice your harness or attachment is damaged? Stop and tell your supervisor, but carry on using it until it is replaced. Use a colleague's harness instead. Stop and tell your supervisor straight away. Use it and tell your supervisor at the end of the day.
Why is it important to wash your hands after handling lead or lead-based paint before eating or smoking? It can transfer to your mouth and make your breath smell bad. It can transfer to your mouth and taste bad. It can transfer to your mouth and is toxic. It can transfer to your mouth and can be addictive. Which of the following is true of lead? It is safe to ingest. It is safe if in contact with the skin. It is poisonous to ingest. It is only poisonous for people over 25.
In what situation are you most likely to catch Weil's disease, leptospirosis? If you work near air conditioning units. If you drink water from a standpipe. If you work near wet ground, waterways or sewers. If you work fixing showers or baths.
Why is it considered poor practice to store batteries loose in a tool bag? The tool bag will be heavy and could damage your back. They give off a poisonous gas in a confined space. You might forget to charge them. If the terminals short out, they could cause a fire. Where are you most likely to come across asbestos? In any industrial building built after the year 2000. Asbestos has now been removed from all houses and buildings. In a house built between 1950 and 2005. In any building built or refurbished before the year 2000. When should workers be provided with training on safe lifting techniques? During their job interview. After manual handling or lifting. Only when there is a budget to pay a trainer. Before manual handling or lifting. In which document should the safe way of carrying out a task be described? Order sheet. Instruction manual. Work program. Method statement. If a power tool being used on site needs refueling several times a day, where should the fuel be stored? Close to the tool. In the designated fuel store. Outside the perimeter of the site. In a site vehicle. When moving plant or machinery around site, what should the operator look out for? Only driving with limited fuel. Speed signs and speed humps. Driving with the lights on during the day. Driving with the handbrake on. What should a harness's lanyard be attached to when working in a mobile elevating work platform, MEWP? A designated anchor point within the platform or basket. The control box. A point on the structure or building you are working on. The MEWP handrail.
What does this sign mean? No entry during the day. No access for pedestrians. No entry without a hard hat. No lone working.
What should not be in a first aid kit? Tablets and medical safety pins, plasters, bandages.
A worker is wearing a harness in a boom-type mobile elevating work platform, MEWP, sometimes known as a cherry picker, Which one of the following should the harness have? A full restraint lanyard clipped to the control box of the machine. A fall arrest lanyard clipped to the structure being worked on. A work restraint lanyard clipped to an attachment point in the basket. A work restraint lanyard clipped to the handrail of the basket.